Hello and welcome to For Wales, See Wales. You've made an excellent choice. We are Wales's best political podcast. We focus on everything that matters to you and the people of Wales ahead of the incredibly important 2026 Senedd elections. However, we're an independent podcast and we need to pay the bills. So stick around and we'll be with you after this.
Who are we sponsored by?
Hello.
Starling.
Hello, Starling.
Excellent. So, Hello Starling, media planning and buying specialists. They get your potential customers' eyeballs onto you, your product, your brand, your organisation. Let me give you an example of somebody they have worked with. So, Catch the Breeze Retreats. So Catch the Breeze Retreats is a luxury holiday brand, and they approached Hello Starling and they said, "Hello Starling, we would like you to help us drive more bookings." So Hello Starling put together a campaign for them, and there was an 857% return on ad spend.
Sorry, say that again. 857%?
Yes, an 857% return on ad spending. So this meant that for almost every pound that was spent on advertising, they got 10 quid back. That is a delicious return.
That's really, really good. That's like sort of, I mean, I'm not a gambler, but it feels like Ray Winstone should be doing this. Like,
Now.
nah, return on your screen, nah.
The reason why they are good at getting these kinds of returns is because they use data, they use evidence, they look at what works, they look at what your company is, and they create a bespoke and tailored campaign for you. So if you want to find out more, go to hellostarling.com. That's hellostarling.com.
One more time.
Hello and welcome to For Wales, See Wales with me, Mel Owen.
Me, Robin Morgan.
And me, Will Hayward.
How are we all doing?
Pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
I did a thumbs up.
For the audio listeners, Robin did a thumbs up.
Straight out the gate.
It's like
it's only for YouTube now.
It's like it's my first podcast, isn't it? It's an audio medium, Robin.
How was half term?
Half term was good. Yeah, it's I'm tired. It was very, very sweet.
Yeah.
My daughter got her ears pierced this weekend.
How old?
She's 6.5
Mumps.
Yeah. She's
do
still
you
in the
feel?
womb. A little bit sad.
Yeah.
A little bit sad. She was very brave about it, but it feels like...
Did she really want them?
Yeah, no, she wanted them like 2 years ago and stuff, and it's been sort of like, we've sort of kicked the can down the road a little bit, and she's a good kid.
I was 13.
Yeah, well, this is what a lot of people have been saying, and I think it just depends on how you've grown up with it. Like
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, not to say you're a bad parent.
I suppose as well, if she was 4.
this is what I'm feeling.
No, you shouldn't feel like that because also, I'm sure there are loads of girls in her school that all have them. She's seeing that and she's like, I don't want to be the one that's left out.
Yeah.
I
mean, she got tunnels. Is that weird?
Yeah.
We've got like, yeah.
And then you got a septum for free. Yeah?
Absolutely. Blue banana.
Also, if she was 4 when she asked, and now she's 6 when you've got it, you've made her live 50% more of her life.
That's very true.
So
Yeah, and she can
good
decide.
stats.
Yeah.
Well done. You can tell you're an award-winning journalist. Multi-award winning.
Sorry.
How many awards is it now?
Actual journalism awards, I think it's 17.
17.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Did you guys win any awards at your leavers, at school?
Oh, like most likely to.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Because the yearbook committee were a bunch of pricks. No, I hate them. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, I think it was top 3 in our yearbook. I've still got my yearbook. I'll bring it in next week.
Yes, we can have a look. Yeah.
I'll bring it to ABBA for the live show.
Please do.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Right. Did you win any?
No, I was quite unlikable, I think.
Oh, no.
I was just a bit of a smart ass.
Fair. Sure.
Yeah. You did, didn't you?
Most likely to be famous.
It was like 3 people in your year.
Who voted the horse?
This is true. This is absolutely true.
It's easy.
I'll tell you what did make me feel quite famous this weekend. I was on a walk and somebody came up to me with a Nutri-Grain bar.
No!
Yeah. I was like, what are the chances you're here and I'm eating this?
That's so funny.
And I was with a friend who doesn't listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
And they were like, who are you? What's going on?
That is a niche, because that would have been about 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
That was October. That was a deep cut.
For new listeners who haven't turned off yet, Mel said that she fell and tried to, was it hold in the kitchen?
Hit your head on a breakfast bar,
I didn't
right?
want to hit my head on the breakfast bar, and me meaning like a kitchen island kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Will thought I meant like a cereal bar.
Yeah.
And we had a good 2 minutes of confusion where Will was like, would that have been bad?
It was great fun.
Yeah.
Great fun.
Yeah.
I know people like us to get into the politics, but I will there was a story of a similar thing when I was getting a megabus to London, and there was two quite old Welsh women behind me, and one of them was talking about Iceland, the supermarket, and one of them was talking about Iceland, the country.
Sure. Oh, and love that.
One of them was going, because Iceland, the one talking about the country was like, Iceland is just so expensive, and the other woman got really defensive, saying it's not. There's loads of choice, And she was like, oh no, there's not. There's only a few places to go. She's like, no, if you go to one of the out of town ones, and it went on for ages. Both of them thinking it was a different Iceland.
When you just did you interject at any point?
No, I just tweeted it.
Yeah, sure.
Did they pass it on to what was happening, or have they never remained friends and now they're both dead?
They're gone.
I mean, this was about 10 years ago, so there's a good chance they're definitely on a waiting list.
Sure.
And we'll come to that. Let's talk politics.
That was a good segue.
17 awards.
Can't be stopped.
When we talk about polls, we normally talk about seat projections and percentages of people voting. But what I want to talk to you about is a word cloud.
Right, yes.
I loved these at school.
Yeah,
I
they were
loved
great.
them. Yeah.
What did you do with them in school? What kind of things?
I think so. We did them like in English lit quite a lot to be like, what word, descriptive words, that kind of thing. And so like the word clouds. I mean, people have assumedly seen them on your socials this weekend, right? Yeah. But it's like you get people to give words, and the more popular that word is, the bigger it appears in the cloud.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So the polling company More in Common did some polling, and they
sounds like it's a lady called Maureen Common.
Maureen Common.
Yeah.
Maureen Common.
Come on, Maureen.
Iceland's really expensive. They said, give us one word to describe each party. I don't think, by the looks of it, they didn't do the Greens. They did Labour, Reform, the Tories, and Plaid. And no one comes out of it amazing.
Yeah.
Some come out of it much worse than others. So Labour's 16 words.
Can I just double check? People were they had the free reign to give whatever word they wanted. They weren't given 16 words to choose from. They just chose a word.
They just chose the word.
Fortunes, person on the street type
Sorry,
stuff.
Continue.
No, exactly. And they chose the Red Welsh Way. No.
Good stuff.
So for Labour, they chose incompetent, pathetic, broken, struggling, awful, useless, bad, failing, confused, shambles, poor, weak, rubbish, useless. I've said useless, and lost, and good.
Hey, happy ending.
Yeah, great. Strong end.
Good wasn't the smallest. It was probably third. It was behind bad and useless, though.
Sure. I mean, is that like Labour are going to lose the next election? Good. And then they walked away.
I think when we hear those 15 of 16 words being quite negative, and the one that isn't negative is just good. Like, if any of your loved ones described you as good, you'd be a bit like...
In my yearbook, I was described as most good. So that
Great,
that's very triggering.
Most likely to be good.
Yeah. A good boy.
Good boy.
So with this in mind, I want to just take you back to when, in December, we talked about Labour's leaked election plan, where their principal strategy was, our offer is simple, stay the course.
Yeah, well, people are thinking that the course is bad.
Yeah, useless.
Pathetic and incompetent.
Pathetic is so horrid.
Yeah, that's a brutal word.
Yeah.
Which one of those words would you least like to be described as a human being?
Lost.
Oh, yeah, that's sad, isn't it?
So how big are these looking? So useless is the biggest one, yeah?
Shambles is pretty broken.
Shambles, poor, weak, rubbish.
Broken.
Incompetent's only little.
I think useless is
It's the big one.
It is the biggest. The biggest is useless. So if you were Leonard Morgan now, I think the only thing you can do is you can't look at that and think, right, we're winning a majority. There is no way to turn around the polls that they are. But what I think should be their overwhelming priority is to have a presence after May.
Yeah.
Because if they try and run an election campaign like they are old Welsh Labour, like they're going to, if they do nothing, get 30% of the vote, they're going to end up doing even worse. Because I think if you try and appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one. And actually, politics is really divided. I think they need to choose one or two groups of voters, which they're going to go, we're going all out for them.
So do you think that their priority now is the rebuild?
No, I don't think it is.
But it should be.
But it should be.
Yes, yeah. So going into this, it would take an absolute miracle, right, for them to pull this out of the bag before May.
Yeah, it's like 9 weeks.
Yeah, this is like me signing up for like a half marathon and then be like, I'm going to train all year, and then I get to 2 nights before and being like, right, how do I do this?
Googling where is marathon. Right, okay.
Put it this way.
Do I need trainers?
There's less weeks than there are negative adjectives.
Yeah, that's not ideal, is it?
So it's about the rebuild now, in much the same way that you're seeing like the Conservatives in Westminster. I mean, it's not going particularly well, but I think, that was the plan, right?
Yeah, and it takes a long time, right?
Yeah.
So it took the Conservatives, post, Blair success, it took them, 4 or 5 elections to sort of get back in.
Yeah, they had to. They said they did all sorts of stuff like hugging hoodies.
Hugging hoodies.
Remember that?
Do you remember Web Cameron? They sent a video camera into David Cameron's home, but when the internet was becoming very popular, and this is Web Cameron, and he was at the sink and he didn't wash his hands before cooking.
Oh, for goodness sake!
Weird how I remember that, isn't it?
That is odd. That is but those things that stay with you.
Yeah, bizarre.
What a
You'd
time.
also have been 15.
Yeah, I used to watch Have I Got News for You with my parents and not really understand the jokes that people were saying. But if the audience laughed, I'd be like, ha, 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 ha. My parents were probably like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
My dad would buy me a Times to read every day, and I'd have to spend an hour after school every day reading the Times.
That's so funny.
What sections did you go to?
Oh, I had to read it the whole
Cover
thing.
to cover.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah.
And how long did you do it for?
Oh, too long. He really wanted me to have an interest in politics. It worked.
It worked.
He really wanted me, but not for somebody who wasn't particularly like party political. Like, I don't think my dad's never been a campaigner. Like my dad doesn't like belong to a certain party. He'll change with each election, but he was like, you need to know what's going on in the world. So yeah.
Mellow and senior. What a guy. What a guy.
I know this is a bit of a tangent. I'm not going to look at producer Daryl. Because it's we do a lot of tangents, but
I will, and a single tear is going down his face.
Is it? But how much do you think not necessarily your political views in terms of parties and stuff, but your view of politics and your interest in politics was formed by conversations in your home?
Yeah, hugely.
Yeah, massively. Yeah, I think like the way I see the world, for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong, as I get older and I see the world through my own lens, those
and they are
opinions
thick
change.
lenses.
Yeah, thick ones. Don't look at the colour. They do change, and that's a good thing. But I think definitely the way I formed my opinions on what was going on in the world was hugely based on, conversations that were going on in the house. Have I got news for you again? It's huge in our house, and it was very. But I feel like my dad watched that as a kind of. In a bit of a cerebral way, like he thought he was like, "Oh, this is a highbrow thing to watch."
Yeah, Well, no, I mean it is as a legacy show. That's why I've always been such a fan of like satire and comedy, because it sort of it reaches out across the divide of like people who wouldn't read the Times every morning, like 13-year-old Mel. But yeah, in terms of I think definitely how I was aware of politics and aware of the news. I think you're right in the sense that when you get older and when you sort of live your own life, you're like, oh, okay, I might disagree with you on this sort of thing. Yeah. Also, the world's changed and since I was a kid and teenager, and you've got to adapt to those kind of things. Yeah. But I think that is something that's always been rallied against as criticism of Labour voters, of you're only voting Labour because your dad voted Labour, because your grandmother voted Labour, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm always a bit like critical of that, because I'm always like, well, you're only voting this way because of the values your parents instilled in you. It's like,
Did you guys grow up in quite debatey households? Like, would you have discussions and disagree in constructive ways about politics, about what was going on in the world?
I don't think we'd have like debates and disagreements, not so much. I won't like
discussions.
Yeah, I think they would. My parents would talk about politics and talk about stuff that's happening, and always be very open about stuff like that. It was never kind of like, oh, this isn't for children's ears. Because I think, whereas I think some people are like, oh, let's not talk about the news to the children. Yeah. But it's like my kids watch news round in school. They know who Donald Trump is. They know sort of, but I think it's an interesting change, because I think that, the amount of, we talk about political apathy, especially in Wales, especially at Welsh elections. And so I suppose it's that thing of, if, someone who's not politically engaged isn't going to talk about those things with their kids, how are they going to get involved in it? Yeah.
Because I was thinking we've only now got people who are raising kids who grew up under devolution themselves. So if you were raised in a house where ultimately your parents lived the vast majority of their life without devolution, they're less likely to discuss kind of the Senedd. So Robin, you're 36.
Thank you.
So the majority of your life, so from the age of 10, that's when devolution came in. So most of the time that you've existed, Wales has had its own Parliament or formerly Assembly.
I've been angry ever since.
If you're, I can tell. My kid's just fuming.
They're always outside the Senedd.
Why is this here?
Holding wellies?
I just thought that was an interesting sidebar. Do you want to hear Clyde's words?
Go on.
I'll take them one at a time. Improving, rubbish. Rising, neutral, weak, opportunistic, useless, upcoming, growing, unknown, strong, bad, Welsh, poor, hopeful, good, dangerous.
And no.
Okay. I mean, obviously so much more positive than the Labour one.
There are positive ones in there. I mean, like the biggest word is good and hopeful and Welsh. The next ones are bad and useless, which I think reflects how divided as a country we are.
But I suppose hopeful and optimistic are interesting ones because that's obviously part of the, vote for change, vote for hope, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But I suppose, we'll see reforms in a minute. I imagine the reform voters would also think of reform as hopeful and optimistic. Yeah. They're hopeful of a different kind of politics, right?
And I would expect that dangerous will come up in reforms, but very, very interesting that it comes up in Plaid as well, and we shouldn't skirt over that.
Dangerous.
Dangerous.
What is the danger with Plaid, do you think? Independence and ripping Wales from the Union?
Yeah, possibly. Also there's that element of they haven't got any experience in government.
Sure.
They can talk a talk. We have no proof that they can actually do it.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I guess you can rally that criticism of them, but then you could also say them and Plaid have been propping up the Welsh government over the last 30 years. So,
So they kind of
they have no experience, but also they've been involved in it constantly.
Yeah.
I think you're right about dangerous is going to be what every other party is going to be saying about Plaid, isn't they? They want that dangerous word because it's one of the smaller ones on this word cloud, but they want it to be bigger. That's the thing they're going to use to try and attack Plaid, isn't it? That idea that they are inexperienced. I mean, who is experienced that isn't Labour in Wales?
Yeah.
And half of them are on the way out anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And all that's left is Mike Hedges. So,
New generation.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
It keeps growing.
Are you ready for the Tories?
Welsh Tories.
Welsh Tories. I'm starting with the smaller words, and I'll go up to the
landslide.
There's only one positive word here. Terrible, irrelevant, divided, poor, shambles, awful, boring, finished, lost, mess, useless, struggling, weak, rubbish, bad, good.
I was going to say, where's the positive one?
Bad is bigger than good.
Yeah, but good's quite big.
So the
good is big. Let's not,
the four big ones are weak, rubbish, bad, and good.
Divided is relatively big, which is interesting.
Yeah.
That's sort of obviously within the party, people jumping ship to reform would suggest there is a power struggle of like what is the Conservative Party, what is the Welsh Conservative Party. But that's bigger than I thought.
So the polling was done on people in Wales, but it didn't say Welsh Conservatives. It said the Conservatives. So some Conservatives might be thinking of the Tories in the Senedd, some might be thinking of the Conservatives, Kemi Badenoch. But
boring.
Boring. It's boring politics, and they've notoriously been boring for the last 10 years.
They're all the same, no point voting.
Yeah.
The fact is, the Tories, I don't think boring is a bad thing for the Tories to be because what they kind of always prided themselves in is they've traded on, especially with less well-off voters, he's been seen as the adults in the room, isn't it?
Well, that's what's the criticism of Starmer is that he's boring, but at least he's a leader compared to Truss and all that kind of stuff, Whereas
boring politics. I'm sure if you'd have gone back to us in 2017, we'd have begged for boring politics.
Yeah. If you're boring but are also described as shambolic, divided, useless, irrelevant mess, that's a very hard. I'm amazed that no one said Darren Miller.
Darren Miller didn't even say Darren Miller. Irrelevant, I think, is the one that would cut me the most.
Finished.
Yeah.
I know you quite well, Mel, and I'm going to tell you right now. If anyone described you as irrelevant, you'd fucking hate them.
I would go deep. It would be awful. And interestingly, so good comes up quite big on that.
Yeah.
On the Plaid and Labour ones, were the positive ones as prominent?
So on the Plaid ones, the four biggest, 3 of them were positive. I'm saying that Welsh is positive.
Yeah.
So hopeful, good.
Obviously biased.
I know. I went to London recently and I've just become English again. So bad, Welsh, good and hopeful.
Okay, sure. Okay, so Labour so far is the only one with just the big 4 being horrendous.
So,
and I mean, with the Conservatives, the only good one is good.
But I will go on a limb and say, if you were a Reform voter and asked to describe Plaid, you might say Welsh.
Yeah.
Right.
That might, and you might not be saying that as a
positive.
As like, oh yeah, they're the Welsh party.
Yeah.
Not the British party.
Yeah, yes. And, that comes down to it at the end of the day that for some people that's a positive and for some people that's a negative. And, I think it's okay for Plaid not to appeal to those who think it's a negative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you say, like there's no point in trying to win over somebody who is so fundamentally opposed to what the core ethos of your being.
Yeah, if somebody's like, I'm opposed to Plaid Cymru because I actually dislike the idea of any distinct element of Welshness, Plaid would have to do quite a lot to win them over.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's even...
It's time wasted.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Do you want Reform?
Hit me.
Okay, we'll start with the small ones and then we'll finish with the big 4.
The big finish.
So, terrible, divisive, awful, strong, fascist, change, positive, disruptive, hope, hopeful, rubbish, frightening, growing, rising. Then the big 4, good, bad, dangerous, and the biggest one, racist.
Wow.
I take it back. I think I'd least like to be called racist or fascist. I think I'd take irrelevant over those 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a conundrum that lots of people in politics are dicing with, are they? Do they want to be irrelevant or do they want to be racist?
Yeah. Do they want to be front of the cameras?
Not saying Reform, everyone in Reform is racist.
But no, we're not. But also, like, they do need to answer the question as to why do the public think they are? Or why do so many of the public think they are?
Why is the overwhelming word that describes them is racist?
It is all very well and good them going, it's name-calling. We saw Welsh Dave, Llyr Powell going, it's just name-calling. People feel like this in all seriousness. Like, why... If you're not racist, why do so many people feel as though you are? You're very loud. We hear a lot from Reform. Nobody can say that they're being silenced. Why, from the rhetoric that we're getting from you, are people taking racism from that if you're not racist?
Obviously, it depends on the person. Do you think they care?
Well, no. And there might, we were saying about the Welsh thing, there might be Reform supporters who think they're racist and are like, yeah, they've got my vote.
When you say kind of do they care? In a Welsh context, the problem with, if your overwhelming description is that you are dangerous and racist, the problem with that is, if that's what the majority of people think, you're not going to win a majority. But in a Welsh context, they really don't need to. They just need the people who like them to really like them and vote for them.
Yeah.
I think the thing I would say is hope and hopeful.
Yeah.
Are both in there.
Yeah.
And
it's probably after Plaid, it has the most positive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely. I mean, how many of these are positive? So you've got hope, hopeful, growing, rising, strong, change, positive, good. So
half.
Yeah, half. When I went to the Reform conference back in December 2024, back when I was allowed to talk to them, we said that the thing that was coming out of that conference was from supporters, not from the politicians, but from supporters, wasn't really kind of racism. It was sadness and fear for their communities in terms of struggling town centres, housing crisis, limited opportunities. Now, the blame for those legitimate grievances often were being pushed towards immigrants and migration. This idea of like them being hope and hopeful and positive. Not everybody who's voting Reform is going, I hate immigrants, I am voting Reform. Lots of people voting Reform are going, things aren't working and I want to see change and I think they will do it. So you can argue like whether Reform have any real plan to make these changes, but that is what they're tapping into. And I think other parties ignore that hopeful element. And this is why Starmer was such a gift to Reform when he came in, because people were like, oh, we got some hope. And he went, tighten your belts, pensioners. Like, it was so many missteps, such a negative mindset and messaging, which I think they have never come back from.
White fragility is like a very real problem. as well. Like when you try to bring up topics that allude to racism or allude to, okay, you're willing to vote for a party, not for racist reasons, but because, they say something that pleases you and you're willing to turn a blind eye to the racist elements of what they're saying. That in turn is racism. There is such a fragility amongst those white people who go, well, I'm not racist. How dare you call me racist? It's actually more hurtful that you've called me racist than what I've actually done. That is really silencing because you don't want to do that. You don't want to point the finger at people. So it's really difficult to address people who think that they're not implicit in this without making them worse. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I suppose how do those conversations happen then? Because I think it's some people that is how they deal with criticism, regardless of whether it is a racism thing or especially when it's something that's such a huge thing. Whereas you don't listen to what actually is being said. You immediately go on the defensive, and then you sort of like you push back.
Yeah,
and I don't understand how those people can operate in life really because. No. Yeah, it's bad discourse. It's bad not being able to listen, not being able to have a conversation about things.
No.
So I suppose how do you cut through to those people who, when you go, well, actually, is it that kind of thing of, I'm not racist, like you're one of the good ones, down the street, that kind of thing, so it's having those kind of people in your life, but then you can have that divide where you're like, well, I'm still going to, but it's not you.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you get through to those people and demonstrate to them that is an act, is a racist act, but without making them more racist because they then go, oh, I can't say anything these days and white people are being silenced. And those crocodile tears actually make it so much more difficult. I don't know how to get through to those people.
If you're voting for reform now, I think there is strong evidence that the rhetoric that reform have put out over an extended period of time has deliberately isolated and targeted minorities for political expedience. And I mean, these aren't my words. These are the words of Reform MS James Evans. Now, so I don't think it's wild for me to suggest that.
Can I just say, we're struggling with this conversation because we don't want to accuse reform of something that is unfair, right? Which I think is really important. I can't recall myself a quote from a reform politician saying the N-word. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not something that I can recall. It might have happened. I don't know. They won't be the only party. But I think we're struggling, and I think that I'm going to go out there and I think that they incite racism. They do. Whether they are racist themselves, they incite racism. And I do think it's important to call a spade a spade. I know it's harder for you. You're a journalist. But legally, you've got to be more careful. But I think the more we pussyfoot around this, we're not solving the problem.
If I said, I am not an arsonist, you can't call me an arsonist, but I walk around the paper factory throwing petrol.
Right.
And suddenly the paper factory catches fire. Yeah. I didn't set the fire. I didn't start. I didn't light the match.
Yeah.
But bloody hell, I made it much easier for that fire to happen.
Yes, exactly. And at the end, if they want to say we're not racist, how dare you call us racist, right? Which I actually don't think they'd be that bothered about being called racist for sure. This word cloud is showing that there are very large proportions of the general public who think that they are racist. They might like the fact that they are. They might hate it. Reform, if they don't want to be called racist, need to address why people are taking that from their rhetoric and turn it around, or don't.
Yeah, and then you can't have that defence of it's just word calling.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how that was the defence, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was like, it's just name calling. We're like, well, let's address what the name is. Let's talk about that thing.
Yeah, no one's calling you a smug prick.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're saying you're a fascist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always judge how good my messaging has been at countering hateful messages by how much I get attacked for doing it. So there's several Facebook groups and actually WhatsApp groups which people on the quite extreme right of politics occupy. There's loads of people in them. I am actually in them, but under a different name. You need to check more who you let into your Facebook groups. Okay, I don't have this profile picture, but I am there. See if you can go through and work it out.
He uses my profile picture.
With just my glasses
It's
on.
so infuriating.
Yeah. But what I always find is, so in those groups, sometimes I'll post something on Facebook or I'll do a video, and then pretty quickly someone will share in those groups that link, and they'll say, here is something that somebody said, here are things you can say against it, and then suddenly you get loads of comments. You see it all the time.
Wow.
Happens a lot. The thing that people went after me most hard about was when I was doing the immigration stats for Caerphilly.
Right.
And I think it's because that cut through in quite a significant way. If we had a sensible electoral system in the UK, which meant that if you got 25% of the votes, you got only a quarter of the seats, then actually having a party that draws in people who have, I would suggest, quite divisive worldviews, that actually isn't always the end of the world, because what happens is those people vote for that party, but those people are a minority, so that party can never win. And what it means is the other parties aren't trying to win those voters. So the other parties win votes by not being prejudiced, not being hateful.
Not having to drag those people into the party.
Whereas because we haven't got that system, we've got a system where actually 30% of the vote can win you a quite a big majority. We end up having mainstream parties which have to court what I would suggest is lunacy, like hate-filled lunacy. And in Wales, we've kind of seen that, like, Plaid, I mean, the Tories are just a basket case, you don't know what they are, and they're also operating in a much more UK context. But Plaid and Labour don't need to go after those votes.
You haven't seen Welsh Labour doing what the UK Labour government have been doing, which is trying to...
Island of strangers.
Yeah. You haven't been doing that, you know.
Yeah, whereas in a UK context, you do have to do that. So
to their credit as well, sorry to interrupt, but I think to their credit, because I think if Welsh Labour would say, oh, we're losing some of our voters to reform, our disenfranchised working class, then Lyndon Morgan hasn't been like, well, let's get them back by leaning over into this right of centre thing, which you know, I'm not sure if it was ever discussed, but they could have done that. That's what Keir Starmer's done.
Exactly. They could have followed Westminster and they actually didn't.
You can criticise Welsh Labour for being many of these words, but what you can't say that they have courted extremes in the same way that I think you can argue that, especially early on, UK Labour did.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah,
and the Welsh Conservatives, they've tried to define themselves as this.
Yes.
You know, they've rallied against Nation of Sanctuary, all this kind of stuff that they
said was really important.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about something else?
Please, let's shake it off.
So we are recording this early in the week, and we all know about the For Wales, See Wales curse.
Yeah.
So if Zach Polanski has defected to Reform, obviously we need to probably do an emergency pod.
Probably will,
What do you think the odds are on that? Like, if you went to a bookies, you're like,
yeah,
1 billion to 1?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I might put a little fiver on.
Yeah.
Call me Craig Williams. I'm going to go. Remember him?
Yeah, I do remember.
Simpler
him.
times. Were they? Don't know.
They were certainly in the past.
So this will be coming out just before the polls open in the Gorton and Denton by-election. I've got the odds in front of me now. Greens are the favourites to take that seat.
Really?
Greens are the favourites, 1-3. Reform second, and then a little further back, you've got Labour.
Right.
The monster raving loony party whose candidate is Sir Oink-a-lot.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm counting myself now. Sorry. Yeah, Sir Oink-a-lot. Just wanted to make sure Knight of the Realm I'd got that correct. Didn't want to disrespect.
Respect. Come on.
And out of
A pig on a horse.
and out of total respect for this by-election, that is the only candidate's name we're going to say.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Excellent. So
That's how seriously we take politics outside of Wales.
nothing sums up the challenge that is facing the Conservatives, that they are actually behind Advance UK in the odds in terms of most likely to say. That's with some of the parties. Some of them they're ahead, some of them are behind. With some of them, they are 500 to 1.
Where do you think Labour would have been if old Andy Pandy would have been chosen as the Labour candidate? Burnham.
That's a very I wasn't. I didn't only have eyes for Sir Oink-a-lot. That's a really good question.
Thank you.
I think they would be doing a lot better than they were. I don't think it would be a shoo-in.
It's interesting how Greens are up top, and obviously that sort of votes would have been potentially split between Labour and the Greens.
I think there's a lot of people who are considering voting Green who won't vote Green, who wouldn't have voted Green if it had been Andy Burnham, not just because Andy Burnham's personally popular, but because they would see that as a vehicle for removing Keir Starmer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking, I'm a left-wing voter, I am concerned, but this guy might get rid of Starmer, I think they'd be doing a lot better. I don't think it'd be a shoo-in.
That's a very good impression of a left-wing voter as well. They always say, I am a left-wing voter and I am concerned. It's what they always say.
You wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I am concerned.
So not before I, put my hand on my chest and start singing Emma Heed. This is for Wales See Wales. Why are we chatting about this, William?
Well, Sir Oink-a-lot is actually... No, he's not. The reason that I'm talking about this, because I think there are some parallels between what is happening here and what is happening in Caerphilly, with the Greens playing the Plaid Cymru role. So that idea that Labour are not the best vehicle for stopping reform, which we saw play out massively in Caerphilly. And if the Greens do win this, I think after Caerphilly, everyone has started to see Plaid as much more of a credible, and actually almost their election to lose.
Yes.
And if this was to happen in Gorton and Denton, do you think that could translate into a wider, I'm going to say English, in terms of English voting, that people might start to see the Greens as really credible stop it, or would it be seen as just a by-election?
So interesting, isn't it? Because I think in previous years, in previous sort of almost generation of politics, it would be just a by-election, right? It would be a protest vote, that kind of thing. I just don't know, because if they keep building and building and building, I don't know whether the left vote does fracture in the same way that Conservatives and Reform kind of like nicked votes off each other in the last UK general election, and maybe we'll have these kind of sort of four parties kind of fighting it out. I don't know whether it would take so much for the Greens to rival Labour, and for everyone to have these deep entrenched historical, in a general election I vote Labour. It would take so much for them to sort of collectively swap everyone out for that, I think.
I do agree with you. However, I do think it's easier to back a winner. And I think when you see a party start to win, it becomes not less embarrassing, but you're not seen as some like wacky out there voter if you say, well, yeah, no, I do support them, like I vote for them. And I've talked before about like my misconceptions perhaps about the Green Party previously, and I think for somebody like me who, I admire some of their points of view but haven't necessarily taken them seriously in the past, seeing them win in seats that are like hotly contended, I'd take them more seriously. Yeah.
So do you think like with a couple, there'll be more by-elections before the next general election?
Yeah.
Presumably. So if they keep, nicking votes here and there and they keep winning, then...
And the sheer popularity of Polanski and obviously the devastating lack of popularity for Keir Starmer could play a huge role. I'm not, we might break out of this two-party system that we've kind of had.
Yeah, and I think we were going to anyway, but
Sure.
but we were going to be going back into another two-party system with Reform basically replacing the Conservatives.
Yeah.
So... yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to see what this Kemi Badenoch revival can do as well. Obviously, Jenrick moving over, she got a bit of a bump in the polls and stuff. So I suppose if she can sort of steady the ship of conservative sort of centre-right stuff, who knows?
So the final thing I'll just point out, so there's polling which puts the Greens on 20%, Reform on 17%, Labour on 15%. I'll just talk you back through.
Plaid Cymru on 40?
Plaid Cymru on 40. Just going back, so in the 2024 general election, so less than 2 years ago, Labour got 51% of the vote, down to now 15% polling.
And we're Reform second?
Reform were second with 14% of the vote. The Greens are on 13%.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
But if we go back to 2019, Labour got 67% of the vote in that seat. 67%. The Tories got just 20%. The Brexit Party got 5%. Greens got 2.5%.
Good grief.
The change is crazy, isn't it? In such a short space of time. That is a short space of time.
Yeah.
And there's the national mood to have changed. I mean, we're a fickle bunch, us voters.
Yeah, but I suppose like that 2019 was Boris versus Corbyn. Which still feels so long ago, right?
Yeah.
It was get Brexit done. It was up and ready, microwave lasagna meal deal.
Yeah.
And it was pre-COVID. Like the world has changed in such a short amount of time.
Before we wrap up, do you want to hear about Sir Oink-a-lot's statements?
Yeah, go on.
All I want.
Yeah.
They said that he will be hamming it up and bringing home the bacon. He's going whole hog. Think big, vote pig.
Do you know what? They've got my vote.
Yeah.
I'm going to... Is it legal? I don't even care.
Yeah.
I'm going to illegally vote in that election for him based on that.
I think moves Manchester quickly get on the ballot.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you imagine if you committed voter fraud for Sir Oink-a-lot?
Lock me up. I'm going.
I don't even think Sir Oink-a-lot is going to vote for Sir Oink-a-lot. I think he'll do a joke and vote for the Green Party. That's such a piggy boy.
Just put his trotter against
Yeah.
He just eats. He just eats the ballot.
Matt Goodwin ate pages of his book live on TV when we're like.
Can we focus on some... We're not talking about Matt Goodwin, we're talking about...
proper politicians.
For God's sake,
Proper
Robin.
politics.
Sorry.
We're a Welsh politics podcast. Let's speak about Sir Oink-a-lot running in fucking Gorton and Denton, which, let's pretend, none of us have fucking heard of.
Yeah.
No. This is what I love, though, about British politics. You'll get so entrenched in, like, some random constituency, and it will, the fate of the country will be decided in some fucking leisure centre in Shrewsbury. It's great. I love it.
Silly, innit?
Can't wait for May, guys. I can't wait for the Senedd election.
It's going to be great.
Well, we have talked politics. We've talked pork. We've talked pork barrel politics.
Very good.
Interesting. Times they are a-changing. What are you doing for the rest of the week? Do you want to plug anything?
No.
I would quite like to plug a little thing happening in Aberystwyth on Sunday.
I'll be there as well.
Yeah, well, you come if you want. We have our live show on Sunday. So excited. Couple of tickets still available. Do not DM us on Sunday going, can we still get tickets because it's saying it's sold out? When they're gone, so you need to get them now.
Yeah.
We're almost in single digits.
Literally, and by the time this goes out on Thursday, I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
But we cannot wait to see you. Doors 6:30, start at 7, am I correct?
I believe that's correct. Producer Daryl is giving me 7 thumbs up.
Brilliant.
Definitely not doing that.
We don't know.
Yeah.
No, we're going to be on stage at 7.
Open the doors at 6:30. If they're not open this, I'll break the window. It's fine.
He's a battering ram to get in.
We will have that special guest, the new Gorton and Denton MP, Sir Oink-a-lot.
Brilliant. Can't wait to have them there.
He's travelling down on his steed.
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait. See you guys in Aberystwyth.
Yeah, looking forward to it.